Focus on one time frame, focus only for A+ setups, and execute your edge always when you see it, all right? With proper risk management, of course. I wanted to share this video and some of my thoughts about the recent London session I had. And, you know, I just wanted to talk out of my mind. We had a couple of opportunities here. But first of all, let's start from the beginning, all right? The first trade here that I took live on stream, it was based on the 15-minute time frame. So let me show you. On the 15-minute time frame, this London session, I was aiming to go for the previous day high, which was right there to the left. And so technically it was a valid entry, all right? So nothing wrong with this, but you know, eventually it took me out. The 50% retracement level, what I usually aim for, was right here around 101. So anyway, I took the trade. So I go back to the 5-minute time frame now. I took the trade, but it eventually took me out with a stop loss. That's fine. That's all right. But remember that that trade, the entry model, was based on the 15-minute time frame. Now, if you backtest and collect the information and the data, you will know that the different time frames are going to give you different results. And we tend to forget these kind of things, especially if we're looking at every time frame and we want to hop into every trade. We are going to have contradicting signals, you know, that's definitely going to confuse you. It confuses me as well all the time. So in this particular example, in this London session, I deviated from my plan because I entered on the 15-minute time frame. The entry was good, but the results, as they add up in a different shape and form on the different time frames, are going to give you a much wider perspective of outcome. All right, so let's just go forward, and you will understand if you stick until the end. So it took me out with the stop, of course, and then after that loss, there was a fair value gap, beautiful, right here. Let me highlight it so you can see it properly. There was a beautiful fair value gap on the 5-minute chart. And so with this strong displacement, I thought that we should be going for the Asia low right here at 1975. Beautiful repricing here around 19,091, which was around the 50% retracement level, which I like. So took the trade, a short position, and eventually, I mean, it looked good for a few minutes, but then eventually it took me out. But this trade, this number 2 trade, is actually a good one. This is a good loss. This loss is a good loss to have because I executed according to my entry, executed on the entry time frame that I used to be using all the time, not like multiple time frames. So this was a good entry. What came after that is frustration, and 1 loss, 2 losses. So at this point, you are searching for the next trade. And so this third trade, technically it was, well, we can say it was valid, but it was definitely not an A+ trade. I was forcing myself, I was marrying to the idea that we should be going for previous day high again, without acknowledging that we still have the Asia lows intact. So what I did, I zoomed it out, and if you zoom it out, you will find that there was here, this gap, it was 1 tick, only 1 tick wide, this gap here. And so it went down there, 50% ratio. It was just around the 50% retracement level. I forced the trade. I took the long position. It was not an A+ setup, but I took it anyways. It was a very tiny gap there. I took it for like 20 minutes. It was looking all right for 25 minutes, but looking okay. Eventually, it took me out again. By this time, for the third loss, I reached my loss limit for the session. So I did not want it to continue. And I realized by this time that this was not an A+ setup, and the first trade was made on a different time frame. I mean, it was a different entry model. I mean, no, the entry model was the same, but the analysis was made and the and the exact entry was made on the 15-minute time frame. So to play out my edge properly, this first trade and the third trade didn't or should not have been taken, right? So number 2 trade was all right, and then because I exceeded my loss limit and I closed down the stream by that time, I did not take this trade. I saw this developing. It was a little bit wider stop. I'm sorry, a little bit wider fair value gap here, as we were still in the kill zone, in the London kill zone. Reached down almost to the sell side at Asia lows, retraced back higher, perfectly repriced this beautiful gap here, which made actually a structure shift right there. So this was like an A+ entry on the 5-minute for me. Or we can call this like liquidity run. Not just the Asia low, but we had a 5-minute fair value gap below that level. So this trade was the one that I should have been taken. I didn't, because, you know, after 3 losses, that's a no-go, definitely. So if I would have taken this trade, would have reached a beautiful 1 to 2 risk to reward. By the way, all these trades are 1 to 2 risk to rewards, and the calculation is here. If I would have taken all the trades, and I didn't, this would have ended up only in a negative 1R. Now, I did not add it to this, but if I would have only taken the number 2 and the number 4 trades, which are the A+ trades on the 5-minute time frames, I could have ended up in +1R. So lesson learned, and you always, I mean, you have to remind yourself, what is your entry time frame? If you're going to enter on all the time frames, you're going to have contradicting signals. It's going to confuse you, especially on the 1-minute. Now, I'm not saying trading on the 1-minute is bad. I'm trading on the 1-minute many times, especially if I scalp. But if you stick to one entry model, in my personal opinion, stick with one time frame. That doesn't mean you cannot analyze higher time frames to determine your bias or your analysis of where is the draw on liquidity. In this case, the draw on liquidity was definitely Asia lows. But I say stick with one time frame for the entry model. Don't mix up, because you're gonna have much more losses, and you know, having too many trades is not an option. I'm starting to realize this in the past few weeks, and one of the goals I'm fighting for, fighting against myself, is to take less trades. All right, so less trades, less stress, less anxiety, and you know, sometimes less is more. All right. So thanks for watching. Drop a like, subscribe, and see you on the live streams. Thanks.